Everything you need to know about your frequency summed up in however many minutes this video is gonna be. By the end of this video, you're gonna understand your frequency, and due to the fact that you're gonna understand your frequency, reality isn't going to be so fucking chaotic all the time anymore. Whenever you feel calm, there isn't something that's gonna come out of nowhere and just fucking take the piss anymore. Like, you will actually be able to change yourself, your frequency, and actually be able to change your reality. Because when it comes to manifestation, what a manifestation is really just getting your subconscious mind to be convinced of an idea and getting your old frequency to a new frequency. Let's get into it. So, your old frequency, as you can see here, we have a sort of sad guy over here. His head's kind of big now that I look at it. But anyway, we've got a sad stickman over here, and on the right side we've got a happy stickman over here. Yes, this is supposed to be happy. I don't know. He kind of looks. That smile kind of looks a bit demonic, like he's plotting something. Anyway, you get the point. So, your old frequency. First of all, in order for you to even begin to start outsmarting your old frequency and beating it at its own game, you need to first understand what your old frequency really is. Now, think of your frequency as you, alright? This is you. This is you, right? And then this is your old frequency. We're gonna give him a hat so that you can see that you can see his head through the hat, but who cares? You are a being which exists on all three planes: the spiritual, mental, and the physical. SMP. This doppelganger version of you only really exists on the spiritual and mental. More so the spiritual though. That's what the main focus is here. He lives on the spiritual planes. Spiritual planes. He lives on the spiritual plane. The plane of spirituality. The plane where your soul resides, etc. The plane where astral beings are, etc. Blah blah blah. Things of that nature. Now, because he lives on the spiritual plane, you cannot fucking see this nigga. You can't see this guy whatsoever. He is beyond the physical, so you can't see him. But an easy way for you to conceptualize it is, this is an example that an older of mine once talked about, where if you've watched the anime Death Note, you probably know about Light Yagami. Light Yagami is an anime character. This is Light Yagami here, okay? I'm gonna label point L for short. Light Yagami was like a character that, oh, no pun intended. Anyways, Light Yagami was like a character that was he found this book called a Death Note, and then a Shinigami attached to him, and this Shinigami would kill whoever he would put. So would kill whoever's name, would kill anyone whose name had been put in the Death Note book, right? And wherever he would go, the Shinigami would follow him and just be flying around him and following him like this. So just imagine this little stick man here that's floating in the air to be attached to this guy, which is you, right? Okay, so this is you, Light, and this is the Shinigami, right? The Shinigami is the spiritual doppelganger. It is the old frequency. It's this guy right here. So, just to make it clear, I'm going to link them to. So, this entity, right? It's an entity that you have created out of blind intelligence. Now, what even creates this entity? What creates this entity is simple. It is literally, sorry, just a thought form. Now, you can imagine thought forms as a tiny puddle, right? Imagine a thought form as a tiny puddle. Imagine this is a puddle. I know it's a terrible puddle. No puddle is ever completely circular like that. All right? And this tiny puddle, when another thought form of similar to, when that thought form is repeated a multitude of times, it begins to build up. It begins to turn into a lake. Just gonna draw an image of a lake here. This is a lake. It begins to build up into a lake. Sorry, I need to actually redo that. Use an arrow instead. Yeah. It begins to become a lake. Just imagine this to be a lake, just going across the thing. And then that lake begins to develop eventually into a sea. I'm gonna use an image again. Okay, now imagine this to be the beach, this is the sun and water here, I guess, sort of. Waves, yeah, okay. And then eventually develops into a sea. This is essentially what makes up that entity, that spiritual doppelganger. That thought form, the thought forms could be, an example could be, money is extremely difficult to come by, right? That is the thought form, and that then creates that entity, that old frequency, which is in alignment with money being extremely difficult to come by. So this thought form, which is accompanied with all of the different emotions, begins to develop after this repeatedly thought, and it's also attracting other thoughts in a similar vibratory level, and then it also begins to leave conscious awareness due to the fact that it's become so automated, and it even becomes known as fact. So this thought form develops, and then obviously it goes from a puddle, I'm going to label that P, to a lake, and then eventually a sea, and then finally an ocean. I am just going to draw a very big circle and call it an ocean. Yeah, pretty lazy, I know. But anyway, yes, it then finally develops into an ocean. Now, this entity, it is literally just another version of you. It has the same feelings that you have. It has the same expectations that you have. It has the same beliefs that you have. It has the same thoughts that you have. But it just has a different version of all of those things. It has a different version of your feelings, a different version of your experiences, a different version of your perception, a different version of your expectation. That is what your old frequency is. It's a spiritual doppelganger which lives on the spiritual plane, and it feeds off of what originally created it. The thought forms. The thought. The life is fucking terrible thought, right? That has been building up for a long fucking time. That is essentially what that being is created out of, that thought form, because that thought form, when accompanied with emotion, begins to gain energy, because all emotion is just energy in motion, and then that then perpetuates that entity being fed and then growing more and more and more powerful. And there you go. Now, how do we beat this nigga? How do we beat this entity? Now, the first thing that you need to realize is that you should not demonize your old frequency, because your old frequency is just a being that you have created, and it's a being that has been created out of blind intelligence, right? So all it seeks is to stay alive, and how it stays alive is how I told you, by feeding off the energy that it is given with the thought forms. Now, onto the juicy stuff. How does this entity work? Well, this spiritual doppelganger of yours, this fucking spiritual shadow clone of yours, if you watch Naruto, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Bro, I keep drawing hats on these niggas and just leaving their head. You know what? You guys understand who this guy is anyway. Alright, your old frequency. This guy has 4 distinct features. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have not spaced that out correctly. Let's just try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a bit better. Now, the first feature is that it is extremely fucking needy. This nigga is extremely fucking needy. He's like that one kid on the playground who's got a snotty nose, but he still wants you to play with him. He's got a snotty nose. He's spitting everywhere, but he still wants you to play with him. That's how fucking annoying he can be, right? He's extremely needy. He's an attention seeker. He's like that one goal where two niggas are fighting or having a scrap. That one goal who comes out of nowhere and is like, tries to talk to one of the niggas, and he's like, no, you're not like this. This isn't you. You're better than this. Stop fighting him. You're better than this. We talked about blah, blah. You get what I'm saying? That's kind of what it's like. It loves the attention. So because it loves the attention, it will do anything it possibly fucking can to garner your attention, because it understands that where attention goes, energy begins to grow. Wherever you place your concentration, energy begins to flow to wherever that concentration is being placed, which then gives whatever the concentration is being placed upon more energy, more power. Now, because it understands this, it needs to garner your attention. So what it will do is it will place circumstances and events in your life that will perpetuate for you to think in alignment with that original thought form. It'll make you think, I hate life, I guess, in this case, because I'm pretty sure life is fucking terrible. It will make you think thought forms in alignment with that, and these thought forms will then perpetuate anger, frustration, etc. And all of these different emotions literally help it to live. What it feeds off of is literally what created it. Now, the next feature is that I may have to even one second. I need to make this a bit smaller because I need to be able to type the others. Anyways, the next one is that it is extremely fucking anxious. It's a worrywart. It's paranoid. Due to the fact that it understands that it needs your energy to survive, it needs your negative emotions and whatever to survive. Anything that coincides with you potentially leaving this frequency, potentially leaving this identity, right? For clarification, frequency, identity, state of consciousness, self-concept, all different ways of labeling the exact same thing. Now, back to my main point. When you are about to leave that frequency, because it's so paranoid and so anxious and doesn't want you to leave, because it knows if you're gone, it's gone. It's fucking cooked, buddy. It's like, oh shit, no, I can't let this nigga leave me. It's like, it literally lives under you. It literally lives because of you. So whenever you try to leave it, it will perpetuate its anxiety and its fear onto you. Anything that precipitates, I don't think that's the right word, anything that coincides with change, anything that coincides with changing your identity or frequency, it will begin to perpetuate its fear onto you in regards to that and make you think that that change is something bad. You're not scared of the change. Your old frequency is scared of the change. That is a gem. Write that shit down. It is not you that is fearful of the change and of the difference. It is the old frequency that is scared of it. So like I said, it will make you anxious, and then it will give you a certain perception of the change, and then make you feel fearful towards it. And then the thought forms begin to come. The thought forms of, nah, this isn't gonna work. The thought forms of, nah, let me just go back to what I was doing before, this ain't working, blah, 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 etc. And that's how it keeps you stuck within that old frequency. Next. Oh shit, no, not you, buddy, not you. Stay here, yeah. Next, you have, you know what, to even make it a bit simple, I'm gonna zoom out a bit. Jesus, not that much. Fucking hell. Anyways, yeah. And next, what it will do, or one of its features, sorry, is it is extremely sadistic. It is a fucking, well, that is some terrible drawing. Sadistic. You know what, let me just, 1 second. I can't change my DPI anymore. No, I think I can. It's extremely sadistic. And what I mean by, oh, that's the wrong button, that's fine. There we go. Okay, yeah, it's extremely sadistic. And what I mean by it being sadistic is that it loves negative emotion. Bro, it's fucking crack cocaine to it. Why? Because it literally keeps it alive. So it will perpetuate, regardless of how detrimental it is to you, it will perpetuate negative circumstances into your life. And then these negative circumstances will what? Cause you to feel those negative emotions. And then it's just really a loop. Negative circumstance, negative emotion, more negative circumstances. And there you go. Let me even put an arrow here to make it even easier to conceptualize. And there you go. That's the issue here. It's a fucking sadist. Now, the final feature of your old frequency, I'm gonna have to even change that in a second. The final feature of your old frequency is that it is, let's move this to the side a little bit. Yeah, it's much better. It is extremely reactive. It's extremely reactive to its own creations. And what I mean by reactive is your old frequency, whenever any negative circumstance that has been perpetuated comes into a reality, will short circuit your levels of awareness. And what I mean by your level of awareness is your understanding of the triune nature of reality and your understanding that the physical is an illusion. Due to the fact that you'll be feeling so many negative emotions like the fear, the anxiety, the frustration, the anger, etc., whatever, the sadness, whatever, you will find it more difficult to tap into that level of awareness where you're able to think, okay, nah, this is really just a physical illusion. Reality doesn't stem from, I don't stem from reality. Reality stems from me. It will make you forget that. It'll make you start to think that reality is the neuro, that the physical is the cause, when it is only the effect. It makes you forget that. And then once you forget that, then that loop can continue going of the negative emotion, the negative circumstances. When you forget that, that is when you are reactive. Oh shit, that circle did not fully, yeah. That is when you are reactive. It stops you from responding. You can no longer respond. And because you can't respond, you then cannot change the event. You can't go internally to then respond to the event and then change what the event actually meant to you, what the event actually was to you, your perception of the event, because it is really your label of the event that gives the negative event so much energy and so much power. Once you change your perception, reframe the event, look at it from a different point of view, look at it from the point of view of your desired self, that event doesn't have as much power. That event isn't then continuously perpetuated, as you can see in this cycle, because you stop the cycle. Because instead of it being negative emotion, you can get to a neutral standpoint and then you reach a positive standpoint, because the negative emotion is necessary. And what I mean by it is necessary is that negative and positive emotions are really just indicators of whether you're living in your desired reality or not. So a negative emotion just lets you know that you're not living in your desired reality at the current time, but it doesn't mean that you have to constantly be feeling negative emotions. Negative emotion, right? When you feel it, the point is not to resist it and to just let it flow. Because when you let it flow, that emotion, which is really just energy emotion, and that same energy emotion, which has been given a negative connotation, which then gives it a negative effect on your reality, can be transmuted into positive. And obviously, for you to get to positive, you cannot reach positivity from negativity without first reaching neutrality. So it will short circuit your level of awareness so that you can no longer respond. And then the cycle continues. Now, I've explained to you the 4 different features of your old frequency. Alright, Guapo, you told me how this nigga works. Now, how the fuck can I navigate this? How can I beat this nigga? How can I stop feeding into this thought form, into this entity that I've created? It's as simple as, first, stop demonizing it because it's something that you created, right? And demonizing something makes it seem above you. When you demonize something, you make it seem as like some sort of villain that you can't beat, some sort of villain that keeps coming after you that you can never defeat. And in order for you to defeat it, you need to realize that you created it. So it's not something for you to defeat, it's really just something for you to change, something for you to shift. Because one thing that you must also realize is that in this reality that we live in, there is the law of polarity. And the law of polarity is that every single thing in reality has 2 different poles. And now these 2 different poles aren't to say that, sorry, no, these 2 different poles aren't 2 different things, but rather 2 different degrees of the exact same thing. The darkness, the light, the masculine, the feminine, anger, calm, sadness, happiness, dull, sharp, the physical, the spiritual. Every single thing has its polarity, right? Every single thing is within polarity. Now, when you're at one side of the pole, right, to even make it easier for you to understand, I'm going to obviously write it down for you and, you know, give you a line. So this is your line, right? And this is polarity. This line, let's say light, right? This is light, this is dark. This is going to be used for any example of polarity, yin and yang, whatever, masculine, feminine, whatever, right? Whenever you're at one side of the pole, that one side of the pole, regardless of whether it's light or something within the mental, like fear, anxiety, frustration, or happiness, whatever, you will find it extremely difficult to see this nigga. You find it extremely difficult to see or place your attention towards the other pole. Because the polarity itself that you're that you are calibrated at, wants to stay alive itself. Because imagine it like an entity, it wants to stay alive itself. And what created it? The polarity, the pole, the light created it. So that entity, in order for it to stay alive, will keep you calibrated at that pole for as much as fucking possible, so that you are unable to see the darkness. Which obviously in this case would be good, because obviously nobody likes the dark, right? Everybody likes the light, innit? Anyways, in regards to them both being the same thing, an easy way to conceptualize it is to realize this: within the light and within the darkness, the highest point of the light is just the least amount of darkness. Sorry, least amount of darkness. And then the highest point of darkness is just the least amount of light. Therefore, it is simply the same thing, just at a completely different degree. But it being at a different degree doesn't change what it is. So, in regards to your old frequency and the other frequency, the new frequency, polarity is still there. You being in that old frequency, which has this thought form up here, right? It's really just the polarity, sorry, the pole of the least of thinking that life is amazing. That is all it is. And through that realization, you can come to the understanding that, okay, so all I have to do is go from one side of the pole to the other. Therefore, you're not fucking creating anything because all this shit already exists. And that makes it much easier for you to even conceptualize the idea of even, I guess, reality creation or shifting your reality. You're not creating shit. All of this shit already exists. You're just deciding which one you want. You're just going into the library and picking which book you want to experience. That is all it is. Now, well, I really like this whiteboard idea that I've come back to. Anyway, like I was saying, the polarity. We've explained that. How the fuck do we navigate this? How do we go from the old frequency to the desired frequency? No, it's simple. You just have to understand that the desired frequency is easy to access. How you access it is by first naturally going to the desired frequency. Now, how do we go to the desired frequency? So really, it is just the practical action now here. It's really just getting your subconscious mind to accept an idea. Because, once your subconscious mind accepts an idea, you're calibrated at that frequency, and you want to be calibrated at that frequency, and you want to maintain the frequency that you decide to be calibrated at, all right? So this desired frequency, how we get there, first you want to take a couple steps. 4 steps, I believe. Three steps, sorry, not 4. The first step is to utilize what we know about the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind cannot differentiate between imagination and reality. And it has no concept of a past or future. The subconscious mind resides within the mental. Now, the subconscious mind, like I said, cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. So what we do is we create an imaginative scene. But before we create that imaginative scene, we need to reach the midpoint of the pole. We need to relax. I already told you that relaxation is a prerequisite because you cannot shift from negativity to positivity without first reaching neutrality. That's a gem. Write that shit down. So you're going to relax. Now, what relaxing is really is just placing neutral attention upon whatever the circumstance is, whether it's a negative circumstance that you're extremely reactive to, just negative emotions. That's the old frequency perpetuating its anxiety and fears onto you. It's trying to get your attention, whatever, blah blah blah. Now, so all you really need to do is relax and neutral attention. Right now, this is obviously in the case where adversity has struck. If adversity hasn't struck, you still need to relax. Is strike the word? Stroke. It's definitely not stroke. It's definitely not stroke. Anyway. You need to relax. And how you can relax is by applying neutral attention to your thoughts, whatever. And then obviously once you're in a relaxed state, you then begin to create that imaginative scene. And this imaginative scene should confirm should confirm something in alignment within your desired frequency. Now, this imaginative scene must be first person, because nobody views their life like it's fucking GTA 5. Should be short and simple. And you must also loop it. Now, keep looping the imaginative scene until you feel no emotion, whether that takes 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's personal, it's dependent upon you. And then after you have done that, continuously perpetuate a thought in your head in alignment with that imaginative scene. Don't know why I did a full stop there. And boom, there you go. Now, I do understand that there can be situations in which you can't just fucking go on your bed or sit on a chair and just start fucking relaxing and just start closing your eyes. And then there's just people around you and they're just looking like, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Why the fuck is this guy just sitting in a full lotus? Why the fuck is this guy sitting on a chair and just closing his eyes? Like, real shit's going on, right? Why is he just, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Is this guy fucking retarded? And then it's just like, oh shit, no, I actually can't do that stuff. Well, evidently you can't. So, another thing you can really do is simple in regards to, and mainly focuses on the reactivity, because what you react to also is in alignment with your attention, right? And obviously, as I've said, where attention goes, energy grows. So what you're going to do is, when an adverse situation pops up in your reality, you're simply going to ask yourself four sets, is it four? No, 3 different questions. Now, the first question you're going to ask yourself, before you ask these questions, you're going to pause. You're going to ask, how would my desired self look at this? I might just use a type tool because this is, yeah, fuck it. My hand's starting to hurt. Pause. I don't think I even needed to add a pause to that. But hey, life. So, you're going to ask yourself, how would my desired self living in my desired reality look at this? Next. What the fuck? Oh, it changes the size of the... Oh, okay, anyways. So I didn't know that. It's been a while since I used this, so I guess. How would my desired self living in my desired reality feel about this? And then thirdly, how would my desired self living in my desired reality respond to this? Thoughts of this level, thoughts similar to these type of thoughts, thoughts that raise your awareness, thoughts that keep you aware of what's really going on. Because, like I said, the whole thing in regards to the reactivity is it will just try to short circuit your level of self-awareness. And really, how you stop that is just by utilizing conscious control. That is really it. And yeah, that is it for today's video, guys. And I would like to thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.